Oh, just a quick announcement before we get started. If anybody is sharing computers with someone that is not an associate of yours from the same school, for privacy reasons, we don't want you logging into the COD website because we don't want you guys cross-sharing PII or personally identifiable information. We do have some open computers still, so if you would like to get on your own computer and look around and are currently sitting with somebody that's not associated with your school, feel free to move around before we get started, but just a heads up that we really don't want you guys sharing information across schools, so we'll get started in a few minutes. Yeah, when you log in after you put in your username and password, when it gets to the token page, there's a forgot token link on there where they can send you either by text message or through the screen a temporary one. Yeah, so do I.
Me too. You have your username and password, right? Yeah.
As long as you have that,
you can get a one-time token.
You'll just have to, if you're not using the SMS message to get it, you have to remember your challenge questions, I think, to get it, to give it to you on the screen.
You can, or you can sit in the back and you can still watch the presentation. If there is an empty computer, you can feel free to sit at that. There's a couple other things you can click around with, but you won't be able to actually log in and do some of the exercises. So
When you get
totally up to you.
where it asks for the token number, there's a link on there that says forgot token. Click on that, they'll issue you a temporary token so that you can log in. Yep. I guess I'll make a quick announcement to the whole room, just because we've had a couple questions about this. If you happen to forget your token for the login, as long as you have your username and password, once you've gotten by that step where it asks you for the token, there is a forgot token link on the page where you can use that to get a temporary token to get in. So.
Hold on, I'll go to
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm sending somebody down. Okay, I guess we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2018 FSA Training Conference. I'm glad everybody arrived safely, and everybody looks all excited right around lunchtime. This is the COD hands-on session. This is the basic session. There's also going to be a separate advanced session directly after this one, or also throughout the next 2 days if you don't get a chance to stay for that one. Depending on how much line we have waiting to get into the advanced one, we may or may not have to have you leave and come back in. So we'll find that out between sessions, I guess. So let's get started. Today we're going to talk about some basic useful screens that are beneficial for you for doing searches on the COD website. We're going to talk about some of the person menu searches for the Master Promissory Note, or MPN, which I'm sure you've heard more often, for direct loan counseling, the PLUS application, and some individual person search data information. There's also some information on school data, school options, and some funding and closeout pages that will be helpful. We're going to show you on the batch menu the anticipated disbursement queue and how to do some batch searches, and the reports feature. Okay, this is the COD welcome page. When you log into the COD website, depending on your user role, some user roles land you right on this page. Other ones, if you just click on the home link on the bottom in the black bar, you can get to this page. This is where we have all our COD news links, so anything that is important and interesting that you need to read right now will be right on this home page for you to look at. The blue bar is the menu bar that takes you to each of the different tabs within COD. And along the black bar at the bottom, there's also additional resources that you can get to from there, some help links, some glossaries, some COD resource news information, etc. There's also a contact us page, so if you're ever having any issues or if you have a question that you'd like to send to the COD School Relations Center, you can do that right through this page. The top information, if you're logged into the website, will pre-populate with the information associated with your COD user ID. If you're not logged into COD, you can still use this page, you just have to enter that information manually. Or you can also, if you're logged into the website, there's also a chat feature in there too, so you can chat with our customer service agents if you would like. This is the COD resources page, excuse me. Here you'll find some interesting information. A lot of the report readers for the SAS disbursement on demand, some of the Pell year-to-date and recon reports are out here. There's links to some interesting information about the COD website, the user role charts, how to update school contact information. So this is definitely a very good resource to find some quick information about the COD website. You can also access the COD processing update from this page, and this is posted on the web with information about any news, some upcoming events, our system outages. If there's any kind of system issues that we're aware of that we can communicate with you, this is a good resource to find out information about those things and reminders about upcoming events like closeout, reconciliation. There's also the COD technical reference, which is a very good resource. That's located on the IFAP website. Once you log into the IFAP website, if you go to the publications link, and from the publications page, you can see the COD technical reference on the right-hand side. It is definitely a great, useful document if you have questions about processing, etc. Some of the important sections you might want to look at in Volume 1, there's the Getting Started, What's New in COD, and the COD Overview. In Volume 2, the Implementation Guide, which will answer a good number of questions that you have about processing within COD. The Common Record Layout, which talks about what's in the schema and the valid values for the Common Record. There's also an Edit Code section, which is very valuable when you're trying to research your reject edits. In Volume 6, we also have appendices for explanations of each of the individual funding methods, some XML examples if you'd like to take a look at those, and there's always the favorite section. 8 is the report section, so if you need to see what reports that we have available and the layouts and the information available in them, they're a great resource for that. And now we're up to a practice time. So we're gonna release the computers and give you an opportunity to log into the COD, to locate the COD processing update, which in this case, if you don't have a login, you can actually still get to the processing update from the black bar at the bottom of the page, and take a look at what the latest news at the top of that page is. We'd also ask that you log into IFAP and try to locate the technical reference and find the edit code section and try to see if you can find the description for edit 55. So we'll open up the computers and we'll let you guys play.
If you guys have any questions, raise your hands. We have some help in the back of the room, so they'll come over, help answer any questions, walk you through anything.
And I did just realize that I never introduced myself at the beginning of the session. My name is Jennifer Pattison. I am with the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. in the Direct Loans Division. And this is my colleague, Christina Rodriguez, and she is from the COD School Relations Customer Service Center.
Okay, we're gonna pull the computers back and move along. Everybody see the person menu slide? Yes, cool. Okay, so we're gonna go through some of the what I think is the most used areas of COD. So we're gonna start with the person menu. So in the blue bar, all the way on the left, person. And then down along the left-hand side there is a menu of different items, and we're gonna go through several of them today. So there's a couple different searches you can do from here. There are a couple areas where you can search for multiple students at one time, and that's your counseling search, your MPN agreement to serve, and your PLUS applications. Then there's some additional searches where you can search for an individual student. And that's your person, credit check, applicant search, servicer, and default, and we'll go through all of those. So the first one is the counseling search. So again, person menu all the way on the left, then down below that we're on the counseling search. You can search by social security number. You can search just one, or you can enter up to 10 different socials here. Or below that, you can do a date range search, which will then pull back all of the results within that date range for your school. And in this particular search, that date range is set to 7 days. Once you have performed your search and the search results display, there's an option to export those into CSV. Schools have found that very helpful in the past. You know, they may need to do some additional research offline. So there's a good way to go ahead and export those results so they're right at your fingertips anytime you need them. The next one we're going to go through is the MPN, ATS, and manifest search. So again, we're just moving right down that left-hand side menu. So from here, you can search by SSN. You can search by MPN ID, which is that very long number, if you happen to have that handy. Or again, you can do a date range search for MPNs or ATSs that were submitted for your school by date range, and this date range goes up to 90 days. This is a screen showing you the search results for a promissory note search. And from here, you can see the student's information, the MPN ID, and just as a reminder, the letter in the middle of that MPN ID stands for what type of MPN this is. So an M would be for subsidized or subsidized or unsubsidized loans, and an N is for PLUS loans. It also shows if that MPN is linked or unlinked. And in the very near future, a couple weeks, I believe, we're also going to add the MPN expiration date on this screen, so give you a little bit more information at a quick glance. At the bottom of this screen, you can see that export to CSV. So again, if you clicked on that, it would go ahead and export those results into CSV for you so that you could keep handy if you need it in the future. Moving on down the left side here, we're talking about the PLUS app search. So again, you can search by the PLUS application ID if you happen to know that, or maybe the borrower shared that with you. You can search by the student or parent SSN and name. And lastly, another date range search, and this date range is set to 7 days. Once again, these results can also be exported to CSV. Next, we're going to talk about searching for singles. This is how you can look up individual information for a student. It is not trying to say that COD is a dating site. I realize the title makes it sound that way. So the first one we're going to talk about is the applicant search. So this is an abbreviated version of the ICER data. So again, person menu, left-hand side, about halfway down is the applicant search. You can search by SSN, and you can search by all award years or individual award years if you're looking for something in particular. Then, once you have entered your information, you can see the applicant list. So this is showing all of the CPS transactions for this particular student. For this search, we had the award year set to all, so you can see all of the CPS transactions for this student going back to the 10-11 award year. If you click on that CPS transaction number that's in blue, it will then bring up abbreviated ICER data. So you can see the CPS transaction, you can see if they are Pell eligible, if they were selected for verification, etc. So now we're going to back up a little bit and we're going to look at what you can see under one individual student. So back to the person in the blue bar, and we have entered a student, and this is the first screen that you will see. So you see some summary information for this particular student, their address information, if the subsidized usage limit applies, if COD is aware that entrance counseling was completed, and in this case for this student it was. And we will keep moving. So there's also another menu here on the left-hand side for this particular person. If you click on all awards, this is kind of a quick overview of what this award has for this, or I'm sorry, what this student has for this award year. So you can see they have Pell, they have no teach, and they do have direct loan. You can see what the award amounts are and what the disbursement has been made, if one has been made. If you click on the word Pell or the word direct loan, it will bring you into the award detail information screen. So the screenshot on the left-hand side is your direct loan award detail. So this is the detailed information that the school sent to us about this particular student for this direct loan award. So the award amount approved, the award amount dispersed, your award and academic start and end dates. On the right-hand side, we have Pell information, so similar information that the school sent about this student's Pell Award, their cost of attendance, EFC, student eligibility code, all of the detailed information that you would send to COD. Sorry, I'm going to go back one slide. On the left-hand side of each of these screens, there's also a link for disbursements, so you can drill down a little bit further to look at specific disbursement information. This disbursement information screen is long, so there's a scroll bar at the bottom. So that is why we have two screenshots to show. Do we have a question? It is, and we will touch on that of how you can find those shortly. Is that okay? Yeah, I'm sorry. That's okay, that's okay. Good question. So disbursement data, you can see the different disbursement dates. You can see if it was actually dispersed under that status column or if it's pending or anticipated. Program credential level. Again, all of the information that you are sending to COD in your batches, this is where you can see it on COD web. The next item that you can see for a particular student is credit check information. So you enter the social and the date of birth, and you can see when that credit check was requested and what the decision was. Next is borrower-servicer relationship. So this is where you can see what loans a student has for which attending school, the date that loan was booked, and the servicer that that loan was assigned to. I'm not sure how often you all have to go maybe find this information, but it is helpful if you did need a quick place to see who the servicer was, borrower-servicer relationship screen. It wasn't too long ago, this is a recent addition, the default status. So you can check to see if a student is in default. So enter their social, last name, date of birth, and it will tell you yes or no. I do want to do a little disclaimer on this, that this is information being pulled from NSLDS. So if a student maybe had a different last name in the past, you may want to check by that last name as well. But it is the same information that's in NSLDS. Yes. Yes, it does. The question was, does it work for parent borrowers as well? And we are at another practice time. So for this one, we're going to ask you to go into COD. We're going to ask you to search for promissory notes or counseling or PLUS applications for your school. We'd like you to find one individual student and then go to that person information page and look at the information that's specific to them. So we're looking for you to find both an MPN or counseling and a loan or a grant with an actual disbursement date. So we'll go ahead and release you. Flail if you have questions, and we will come help. Did you release them? Cool.
It looks like it worked, 'cause I said it looks like it worked, 'cause the Zoom.
Okay, everybody, we're going to move on to the school menu now. On the blue bar on the top of the COD screen, there is a blue link for school. And this is some of the information that you can find under that tab. We're going to talk about the school summary, the school options, the funding information screen, the balance confirmation page, the reopen and extended processing pages, and the file share and messaging pages. First, we're going to talk about the school options page. Once you've gone into, I'm going to go back to this page. From the school summary page, there's an options link on the left-hand side that will take you to an options page. In this case, on the left-hand side, we're showing you the PLUS application and some of the student loans options that you can set for your school on the COD website. If your school participates in the PLUS application process through studentloans.gov, you can set up certain options for your school, such as whether or not you want to participate in either the parent or grad or both versions of the application. When you want to participate, like what during time periods you would allow your students for each award year to complete the application. You can also set up specific award ranges or loan periods that the applicant can choose when they're filling out the application that will display. There's also the display other option, which basically makes it a free form box for the applicant completing the application to just fill in a month and an award year range. There's also school options for Pell on the right-hand side. There's a lot fewer of those, which makes it a little less confusing. But you also have an option of whether or not for Pell records, excuse me, if you would like certain edit codes are what we call correcting/rejecting edits, and you have a choice of whether or not in those cases you would like COD to correct in certain situations instead of rejecting those. Doesn't mean we're never going to reject any of your records, but in some cases it will correct things that we can correct just to continue processing them. Some software vendors don't always like that option, so you may want to talk with your individual software product that you use before you make a decision on that. But it is an option there that you can choose whether or not you want to have those specific records. If you read in the edit code section of the TechRef, those are identified with a little c/r for those specific edits that would be impacted by that. And there's also a web activity response option that you can set on this page. So if you make changes right on the COD website, that it'll actually send you a common record web response. But again, not all the software products are compatible with those. So check with your software vendors before you decide to make those changes on the web and do this, because they may not be able to accept those responses. There's also on the left-hand side of the school information is the funding information page, and this is a very useful tool when you're trying to reconcile. This will give you information based on your different programs and award years. It'll give you your initial CFL, which is your current funding level, your current and previous funding levels, whatever the most recent adjustment to that was, the date and time that that happened. It'll give you your available balance. It'll also give you your cash that's greater than your net accepted and posted disbursements. It'll give you the total of your net accepted and posted disbursements and your total number of net drawdowns. In this particular case, you had sent in and had disbursements accepted for $46,530. COD funded you that amount. You haven't drawn down any money, so your cash is greater than your net accepted and posted disbursements. There's a tongue twister. Because you haven't drawn down any money and that money is still sitting out there. So if you were trying to reconcile, you would want to draw that money down so that you can get yourself to a zero balance. Once your school's closed out for the year, you can also see that on these pages, and it'll show you the date that it was confirmed, or if it's past the closeout deadline and you yourself did not confirm closeout, it'll show the date that we at the Department of Ed closed you out. If you happen to close out either Pell or direct loan or teach, and realize, oops, I still need to make an adjustment, or a student does something after the fact, and we all know things happen that are out of your control. You can request extended processing for either Pell or direct loan from these pages, or you can ask to have the years reopen. For Pell, you don't need extended processing if you are making adjustments for a student that was previously in a POP situation that we took money away from you, so you're just resubmitting it, or for downward adjustments. Anything else, you would need extended processing after the deadline or after you've closed out. To perform the closeout, if you need to, the screen on the left-hand side, which you can use for either Pell or direct loan, once you are at a zero balance, according to your SAS, your school account statement, you can use the screen to close out if you know I'm done, I don't plan on doing anything else beyond my control. And then the screen will become active so that you can actually perform that closeout right from this page. Oh, and we're back to another practice time. That seemed very fast. In this case, we're going to have you log into COD and take a look for your school. We want you to locate your options for web responses for both Pell and direct loans. If you do direct loans, also check to see, do you participate in the PLUS application? And if you do, what are your participation date ranges? So, and we'll let you go.
Okay, I'm gonna pull your computers back and we're gonna move on. It's okay, I got it. Okay, we're gonna move along the blue bar at the top of the screen. So we've already talked about person, we talked about school, and now we're going to get into batches a little bit. So on this screen here, I should have actually mentioned this earlier. It was a real eye-opener when somebody pointed this out to me. If you see on this screen, there are 3 gray boxes, right? Those are different search criterias. You don't have to enter everything in all 3 of those gray boxes. You can just pick one, and then you can search from there. We did add the search button to each of those boxes to make it a little more clear, but just kind of wanted to point that out. It's a little cheat move, I guess. So we're going to talk about batches for your school, the anticipated disbursement queue, and report requests. So batch searches. So here we did a date range batch search, and there's a lot of information on this screen. We'll start all the way on the left, and we'll move all the way over. So on the left is your document ID. Next comes your record type, DL, Teach, PL for PAL, and then doc type. This is a very, very important piece of information. We kind of gave you a cheat sheet here on the right to kind of understand what are all of these batches. So in that doc type column, all kinds of letters, so we'll break them down. AC is for Teach Annual Counseling. AT is for Agreement to Serve. BN, Booking Notifications. CS, Credit Status. You might get multiple CS files if a borrower was going through an appeal, maybe received an endorser. EC for Direct Loan Counseling. ND, Negative Disbursement. PN, Promissory Note. PS, Payment to Servicing. SP, this is your plus application acknowledgement. I'm going to skip RS for a second. WB is a web-initiated batch. So if you made a change directly on COD Web, a document ID would be created, and in that doc type column it would say WB for web. RS is a common record batch received from you. So if you see anything with an RS, that is a file that you sent to us. Does that make sense? Okay. From there, we have the date that the document was received, the date that COD sent you a response, the status of that batch, so whether that batch was accepted or rejected, not the students in it, the batch as a whole. And then from there, we break down your student award and disbursements. How many are accepted, how many are rejected for each. So I hope everybody understands the batch search screen now. It's just kind of overwhelming when you look at it at first. Anticipated disbursement queue. So this was a recent addition as well. I think it's great. I think everybody should use it. A show of hands, has anybody used it? Okay, good. Yay, okay, good. Okay, so you can search by your ID, award year, program type, disbursement date range, disbursement status, disbursement amounts greater or equal to 0, and then you can actually process these disbursements if you wanted to in multiples. You wouldn't have to do one at a time. So screenshot on the left is your search criteria, and you can see for this search we are searching by a particular school. For the 17-18 award year, for the program we chose all of them. We did a date range, a disbursement date range, and disbursement status of pending. In this case, I only want to see my anticipated disbursements, and I only want to see disbursements greater than 0. So when I click search, screenshot on the right, I have 3 records that meet all of that criteria. Sorry, I want to keep going on this page for a minute. From here, if I wanted to release these disbursements, I can click those boxes there and hit continue, and I would actually release those disbursements. We do go in a little bit more detail on the anticipated disbursement queue in the advanced session. So if you haven't used this and you think that it's very helpful to you, I would highly recommend attending the advanced session. Or I'm going to use this time to do a plug for the COD Resource Center down, I believe it's in the A Hall. We have lots of people from the School Relations Center. We have reconciliation staff there. So if you were super excited about this session but wanted more, please feel free to go down and talk with the people in the resource lab, and they'll spend time with you and answer any additional questions that you might have. Also, under the batch menu, you can do report requests for Pell and Teach. These reports, you make the request on the web, and then they will be delivered to your SAG mailbox. The reports that can be requested are your electronic statement of account, your multiple reporting record, reconciliation file, Pell Pop report, year-to-date record, and verification status report. So you can order these anytime you want. You don't have to wait for them to come to you systematically. You can also request the SAS disbursement detail on demand. This, a few years ago, a lot of schools had asked for this. They didn't want to wait for that first weekend of the month to get that SAS report. So we did add this addition. It is used quite a bit, so if you haven't used it, you might want to check it out. This is another one that once you make the request on the website, it will be sent to your SAG mailbox. It's available for Pell, Direct Loan, and Teach, month to date, year to date, and date range. And another practice time. So for this practice time, we want you to go check out the anticipated disbursement queue. We want you to search by program, see if you have any pending disbursements in the past. And then we also want you to do a future dated search and see if you have any pending disbursements coming up in January. Okay? And we'll let you go.
Okay, everybody, we're going to bring you back on now, just so we can make sure we stay on schedule. Okay, I just also wanted to let everybody know that we used to have on the IFAP website COD CBT training modules that were available. We're in the process of redoing those into more of a video-based training. They're very good and much better than the old ones. Those are now going to be available on the Federal Student Aid e-training site. There's about 3 or 4 of them that are out there right now. We're still continuing to work on more, and we're loading them gradually as time goes on. And all of the old CBTs have been moved out there. So if there's other things that you would like to know about the COD website that don't get covered in these sessions, that is a great resource to look in addition to the technical reference that we mentioned earlier. One good news, I guess, is that it doesn't appear that we have much of a line for the advanced session, so if anybody would like to attend that session, you're not going to have to leave the room. You can stay in the room. I believe that starts at 2:05, so it'll be about 20 minutes after this one ends. You guys are more than welcome to stay and hang out with me and Christina if you're not sick of us by now, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about COD Web. If not, again, I am Jennifer Pattison. This is my contact information and the contact information for the Customer Service Center at COD if you have any questions. And I'd like to thank everybody for attending. And if you decide that you're going to stay, we'll see you in about 20 minutes. And enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks.